Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're cutting through the noise around Manchester United. They've got that massive Premier League match against Chelsea at Old Trafford. Week 5 already.
Yeah, and it feels like more than just a week 5 game, doesn't it? It's crunch time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This isn't just about the points. For Ruben Amorim, it really feels like it's about survival.
It really does. After that, well, utter disappointment against City, that 3-0 loss just laid everything bare. The sources we're looking at, they say the club needs, a performance.
Not just a result.
No, something showing self-respect, some exuberance, not just grinding out a 1-0 win. It has to look better.
And interestingly, BLV Kwang Hui points out, they might actually have a physical edge here. Chelsea played midweek, right, in Munich.
That's right, a Champions League loss after traveling. United have had the week off, so theoretically they should be fresher. They need to use that.
Definitely. But, okay, let's get to it. The elephant in the room, Amorim, what's the latest on his job? Is he staying or going?
Well, okay, the official line. BBC's Simon Stone confirmed there was a meeting. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the leadership, Amorim. And they officially denied those rumors.
The 3-match ultimatum one. Chelsea, Brentford, Sunderland.
Exactly that one. Denied. But, and this is a big but, the analysis suggests that denial is more of a tactic.
A psychological move, as the source put it. Just PR.
Pretty much. Keep the players calm, stop the speculation spiraling right before a huge game like Chelsea. But underneath that, it's complicated. Financially complicated.
Right, I saw the figure. 12 million severance for Amorim. For a club like United, surely that's manageable.
Well, yes and no. £12 million itself isn't the issue. The real issue is cash flow. It's about timing.
Okay.
Think about the money they're still paying out. Those huge transfer fees from previous years. They're often paid in installments.
So like Casemiro, Anthony, Sancho, Hodgland even.
Precisely. They're still paying off those deals year on year. So finding a spare £12 million right now, liquid cash, might be genuinely tricky. It's committed elsewhere.
Wow, okay. So the past mistakes are hamstringing them now. And that ties into the other big money issue.
The huge gamble, yeah. Over $200 million tied up in players specifically brought in for Amorim's system.
Like Sesko, you mean? And Ka, Embo, Bemo, those guys.
Exactly. So picture this. They scraped together the £12 million to fire him. Then what? A new manager comes in?
And maybe doesn't rate those players. Benches them.
That's the nightmare scenario. You pay the severance and your $200 million investment suddenly looks like dead money sitting on the bench. It's a massive, massive risk. They're almost forced to hope Amorim turns it around.
Which brings us neatly to the tactics. Because that's where the fans and experts seem most frustrated. That 3-4-3.
Oh, definitely. Against City, it just looked exposed.
Yeah.
Midfield overrun, flanks wide open. Everyone seems to be calling for a change.
A 4-3-3, or maybe even better, a 4-2-3-1.
That's the one that keeps coming up, the 4-2-3-1. But here's the interesting part from the analysis. It focuses less on which formation and more on Amorim himself.
How so?
He's described as, well, stubborn, inflexible, even self-important. The feeling is he won't change the 3-4-3 unless he's forced to.
Like he sees changing it as admitting he was wrong.
Kind of, yeah, like it's tied to his own authority or something.
Okay.
So unless he gets fired, the sources suggest expect the 3-4-3 again.
Ouch. Okay, so if the club is stuck financially and the manager is stuck tactically, but let's just imagine for you listening, what could it look like?
Right.
That hypothetical 4-2-3-1 the experts suggest.
Right. The one that might actually suit the players they have. You'd have Lemon in goal, obviously.
Okay.
Then a back 4. Dulles at right back. Dogu probably at left back, centrally. Maybe De Ligt and Yoro. That looks strong on paper.
De Ligt and Yoro, yeah. Then the midfield. That's crucial.
The double pivot. Kobe Menu, who's been a bright spark, alongside maybe Casemiro, or perhaps Ugarte if Casemiro isn't fit or favored.
Okay, 2 holding, and then the attack.
That's where it gets more dynamic. An attacking 3. Bruno Fernandes central, probably Embermo on one side, Kuha on the other.
Supporting Sesko up top.
Exactly. Sesko as the main striker. It looks, much more balanced, more conventional maybe, but potentially more solid.
It certainly sounds it. So boiling it all down for this Chelsea game, the leadership isn't just watching the scoreline, are they?
No, absolutely not. It's about the manner of the performance, the attitude. Can they compete? Can they show fight?
Save face, as one source put it.
Precisely. If they lose narrowly but play well, show that exuberance, maybe Amorim gets a bit more time because of those financial knots, but
But if it's another lackluster display like against City,
yeah,
another collapse.
then all bets are off. That official denial means nothing. They might just have to bite the bullet, find a £12 million, and deal with the fallout. It could be swift, unexpected.
Which leaves a really interesting question for you to think about. We see this clash. The manager's apparent stubbornness versus the sheer economic weight of that $200 million investment, plus the cost of firing him. How long can any club, even Manchester United, keep praying for a turnaround when the manager's approach seems so at odds with protecting that huge financial gamble they've already made? Where does that breaking point lie?
That's the core of it, isn't it? A fascinating high-stakes situation.
Welcome to the debate. The air around Old Trafford is, well, pretty thick with scrutiny following that devastating 3-0 defeat to Man City, and frankly, weeks of poor form. We're focused today on the precarious position of manager Ruben Amorim. The central question facing Sir Jim Ratcliffe and his new leadership team is really this: what factor primarily dictates their decision-making regarding Amorim's immediate future? Is it, financial necessity and strategic entrenchment, or is it more a focus on squad psychology and image control? My argument is driven by the balance sheet. I think they're financially and strategically locked in right now.
Yeah, I see why you emphasize those long-term sort of structural constraints. But I come at it from a slightly different perspective. While those financial realities obviously exist, I think the immediate non-action we're seeing is more of a short-term psychological tactic. It's designed purely to stabilize the team before that absolutely critical Chelsea match. The ultimate trigger for his removal, I believe, won't be a calculation of, current available cash, but the quality and the attitude of the performance. If they show that kind of demoralized, frankly ugly football we saw against City again, that image crisis, I think, will force Ratcliffe's hand, regardless of the cost.
Well, the cold numbers do confront the inertia, don't they? Sir Jim Ratcliffe himself has stated that even without major signings this past summer, United is still obligated to make these annual transfer installment payments for high-profile previous acquisitions. We're talking Casemiro, Antony, Sancho, and Højlund, the estimated $12 million required for Amorim's severance. Okay, it might seem trivial for the club's overall valuation, but in terms of immediate, unbudgeted cash flow, it presents a substantial challenge, especially, as the club is losing money for the 6th consecutive year. And beyond just the immediate cash strain, there's the massive strategic gamble Ratcliffe took on Amorim. Was it a $210 million investment? Citing players like Sesko. Dismissing him now risks a new coach refusing to utilize those specific assets, turning a huge capital expense into, well, a complete write-off. They're almost praying he succeeds at this point.
That's a compelling point regarding the fear of dead capital. I grant you that. But I find the assertion that $12 million is an insurmountable obstacle right now a bit questionable. Look, the club can finance that payment, surely, through creative mechanisms or structured deferrals if necessary. Simon Stone of the BBC confirmed the leadership denied that 3-match ultimatum narrative.
Right.
And that denial, for me, is the clearest evidence of an immediate psychological tactic. They're trying to calm the players, restore some focus before Chelsea. If the team shows that same lack of, let's call it self-respect, and that weak image against Chelsea, the leadership will be forced to act. The greater financial imperative, the truly crippling cost, is missing out on Champions League qualification. That could cost hundreds of millions. That far outweighs the inconvenience of a $12 million severance payment, however they structure it.
Okay, while I concede the massive cost of missing Europe, I think you're maybe minimizing the complexity of the immediate constraint. If Ratcliffe, who's, supposedly focused on solvency and efficient management, has to announce an immediate, unbudgeted £12 million payout while simultaneously dealing with these annual legacy debt payments, well, it signals profound operational instability, doesn't it? The constraint isn't just a simple lack of funds. It's the reputational and investor blow that immediate decisive action would represent. It forces them to own up to a massive strategic failure so quickly, and the resulting public and shareholder scrutiny, I think, compels them toward inertia.
But isn't this inertia just driven by a classic sunk cost fallacy? The fear of writing off that strategic investment? You fear a new coach won't use players like Sesko, who Amorim seems to prefer in his 3-4-3 system.
Exactly.
Okay, but what if Amorim is just too, I don't know, stubborn and conservative to switch? Maybe to a more balanced 4-2-3-1, which might actually better suit the rest of the squad, like Højlund and Rashford, protecting that past investment in Sesko at the expense of continued systemic failure? Well, that looks like managerial incompetence, which Ratcliffe surely can't afford to sustain just to save face over a previous judgment call.
I'd frame that risk differently, though. The protection of that past investment means the leadership is effectively forced to tolerate his stubbornness, at least for a little while longer. They've committed too much capital, too much reputation to him and his system to just pivot without admitting the entire strategy was flawed from the get-go. They're waiting, hoping for any flicker of hope that his system will suddenly click and, protect that massive capital investment before they have to pull the plug.
Ultimately, then, the decision will hinge not on the CFO's cash report, but on the image projected on the pitch. If the players deliver another demoralized, low-effort performance against Chelsea, the board will be compelled to move. They'll view the psychological damage to the brand as a higher, more immediate cost than that severance fee. These psychological assurances we're seeing are clearly only a temporary fix.
So the dilemma truly highlights how these legacy financial decisions, specifically those rolling installment payments, and the major strategic gambles related to coaching hires, really constrain the leadership's agility. It forces them to gamble on hope rather than react decisively to failure. This managerial crisis seems driven as much by the constraints of the balance sheet as it is by the coach's recent performance on the pitch.
Yeah, and it's clear that for top-level clubs like United, the factors driving these high-stakes coaching decisions are often these intricate corporate and financial pressures. They extend far beyond, just the white lines of the pitch itself.